What I want to do here today is talk a little bit about the Ruger, the new model and the old model and the converted model. Started out with the Ruger 3 screw. I bought one of these new back in 73 or 74. Identical to this 357 mag right here. Now that's got the 3 screws, but that's been what they call converted, which I'll show you what that means in a second. Now the old Ruger had the same action as the Colt Peacemaker. I checked this for empty before we started. I'm having a hard time. I got a cut in my finger. I can't pick that up without putting my finger in the trigger. But if you listen to them notches, there's actually 4 notches. It's hard to hear that first one right there. It's 4 notches. If you check this Ruger, now this has been emptied too. It's 4 notches too. But after the conversion, now this has been checked for emptiness too. But after the conversion, you only get 3 notches. You can't really hear the first one, but you can feel it. That's actually the second. But you can see the transfer bar in there now. See a bar above the firing pin? Or if you look in this gun, you can literally just see the firing pin. This is a 30 carbine. Well, if you've got a tin porch roof and you want to get the snow off in the winter, shoot this about 6 times. This gun is so loud, blow your eardrums off. Anyway, back to my story about how I almost shot myself. That's where my story was starting. I had this brand new 357 Ruger, just like this. Wasn't converted, it was brand new out of the box. Comes up my turn to shoot. I got the gun. We all got 4 or 5 of my buddies and me. And we all got Ruger 357s in different lengths. And we found a guy that had made these Western holsters. We all had one of them. I had it empty in my holster. Come up my turn to shoot. I stepped up on the line and I loaded 6 rounds in it, which actually they say you should only never do, but I was at the line ready to fire. So I had to have it back to the second click so I could open it up and load it. So I just put my last round in. I was holding it like this. I closed the gate and somebody said something. So instead of shooting, I put the gun down to my side. Like you just naturally put it down to your side. And boom, that sucker went off and blew a hole in the ground about 3 inches from my foot. And you'll hear a lot of people saying, oh, that story about the Rugers shooting people is a myth. Well, it's not. It really happens. And it happened to me with one just like that. Then after that, they come out with what they call the new model. This is a new model 22 here. And you'll see it don't have the 3 screws. And to load it, actually, all you got to do is open the loading gate. Like again, I say my fingers. So you open the loading gate, you don't have to move the hammer. You can rotate your cylinder with just the loading gate. And there's 2 clicks. You don't feel that quiet one in the beginning. 1, 2, there's only 2 clicks. But you can see the transfer bar in there. Actually coming up right there. A little piece of metal there that covers the firing pin, makes it cover it. And usually there's a warning on the barrel on the new models, but somebody along the line took Looks like a piece of sandpaper and took the warning off of this one. This is an old new model. I don't shoot that gun too much. I had to put down a pet with that, and I don't know, I never really shot it after that. So that was one time I almost shot myself in the foot with a Ruger 357 mag because of that slipping off of this notch. Like I say, I was standing there, I had the gun in my hand, I had my finger like this. I closed that and somebody said something just as I was pulling up the cock. And I went like this, come back down, and boom, that sucker. Like I say, wonder it didn't blow my foot off. All my witnesses of that are dead now. Like I say, we got this is a 30 carbine, 8.5 inch, 8 3/4 inch barrel, 8 5/8 inch. That's a Colt Peacemaker 22. That's a nice piece there. This is the Ruger 3-screw Blackhawk in 357 mag. And this is the new model Blackhawk in 22. Now, that's got a 22 mag cylinder too. And so does this Colt. This Colt has a 22 mag cylinder with it. Convertible, they call it, when you can switch the cylinders. But you got to watch them when you don't have a transfer bar, and I learned that lesson with this right here. This is a 357 Buffalo Arms Derringer. I was plowing snow in the winter for the township in their 10-ton dump truck. I had this just like this in a holster, tucked into my pants here in the front like that. I'm out plowing snow. I come back and filled the truck with ashes, pulled the truck around, jumped out of the truck to put the high lift in the garage. Before I left, it was snowing like crazy. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. When I jumped out of the truck, I seen a spark and heard a noise. But with the tractor running and the truck running and all the lights flashing, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I've been plowing for like 10 or 12 hours in that big truck. I thought it was a truck backfiring. About an hour later, I go check my pistol. I don't have it. I realized that was my pistol went off, was the spark I seen. So I go back and I can just barely see my tracks. It was snowing that hard. I followed my tracks into where I parked the first time. I got out, I could see my tracks in the snow right where I jumped out of the truck. And right there in the middle of my tracks was the spot where that pistol was laying. And just as I was going for it, my boss come in to work. It was daylight by then. It was 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when this happened. But it was daylight now, and I'm digging around in the snow. My boss comes in. He gets digging around helping me, and we find it laying in the snow with the grip busted. I had to get new grips made for it. They're a little fatter. When we get to looking, this thing shot through the tin building wall, through my tool cupboard, which was a tin cupboard, out the tin wall, 2 feet into another tin wall of our salt bin, and then out to who knows where, because there wasn't a wall on the other side. But you got to be very careful with anything with a hammer that you carry for safety. Obviously, that fell out of my belt and landed on the hammer and did scuff the end a little bit, but that went off right between my legs. And like I say, I was about 20 feet from the building. So it went off between my legs, through the 3 walls, and then who knows where. But I figure I got one more chance, so I'm really careful now. I used up my 2 chances. That pistol there, believe it or not, I traded a bunch of baseballs for that. Somehow I wheeled and deal with a guy, ended up with a bunch of brand new baseballs. I was at this junk shop, this guy that sold guns at this little junk shop. I traded him baseballs for it. He was always into sports stuff like that. Bats, they used to throw them bats away where I worked. I'd take them out there and out of the garbage, and he'd buy them off me and resell them. Must have been into that kind of stuff. All right, well, I'm rambling on. I'm just home here alone today and trying to entertain myself. Ain't nothing like a nice table of firearms, huh? Me and my son made them grips. The only thing I think we ever did together in our whole life that we had fun doing. We made 2 pairs. We sold one, and I kept these ones. These were not the nice ones. But we were going to start making grips and selling them, but we never did. This was one of our practice sets. What the heck I did to my finger today? Hurts picking them guns up. All right, like I said, man, technology's wonderful, isn't it? A couple of minutes we'll be watching it. I'll be watching this on my TV. A 30 carbine, that's a hell of a round for a pistol. If you're a Ruger fan, I'll let this soak in a little bit for you. That's a nice one there too. I used to belong to my boss on the borough. I bought off him right before he died. That and a couple other pistols. This was before Facebook and that. You used to go on the computer. There was forums, and I was on the Ruger forum. Some means might have heard of the Ruger forum. I bought that off of there. I bought that out of Washington State, that and 3 other guns. I bought this at a gun shop over across the river. I never carried it. This is the first time I picked it up since maybe 98. I never carried it after that night. If that would have landed straight on that and fired, it would have shot me right in the crotch. All right. Well, I lived and made it, and we're all happy, so. And my wife got her dolls back out. Everybody have a good one. I'll catch you on the next one.